everybody, welcome back to our channel and welcome back to another video. So I'm going to be doing the assumptions tag. I've seen quite a few people do it now on YouTube. Megan Fox Unleashed, who's the Mennonite mom, she posted about it. I first saw it, J. Morrell Stewart posted on her channel, and then I saw How Jen Does It. She just posted an assumptions tag. So I thought, hey, why not? For some reason, I just thought this was a fun one to do. Probably because it brings me back to the heart of this channel. And I remember doing the Monday night meetups and the What's Up Wednesdays and just loving to chat with people. And so for me, that is the part that I really love about doing videos like this, when I can just sit and chat. I am a chatter. So we're going to jump right in. You guys came up with some great ones. I mean, there were quite a few shared on Facebook. I posted on YouTube. Then somebody posted a couple off of Instagram. I mean, there were just a lot of good ones. So I have my notebook. I wrote them all down so I don't forget. Some of them kind of go together. Some of them are just random. So I'm going to start with the first one. Says, sometimes I assume that sometimes you long for a helpmate. So, and this one also goes with another question. Another assumption that says, I assume that you don't date. So here's the long and short of that. I do not date. Not because I don't wish to date. I just haven't been asked on a date. The kids and I have been single now for about 10 years. And I say kids and I because they've always been here with me. But I've been divorced 9 years. I've been divorced 9 years. September will be 9 years. We've been separated 10. Well, Jackson was 4 months old when his dad left, and he'll be 10 years old in April. So I have been single since that time. Right after the separation, I really thought right after the divorce, I thought in my mind, I'll be married in a year. Like I was going to meet somebody and get married and move on with life. And none of that happened. And what I believe in my spirit is I really just wasn't ready for anybody to come into my life. There was a lot of hurt. There was a lot of damage done in that relationship on both parts. I'm not blaming him and saying I was perfect. There was just a lot of damage done. And the Lord needed to heal me so that I would be ready for someone to come into my life. So I took 3 years and I just consecrated myself to the Lord. I didn't want to deal with men. I didn't want to think about men because it used to be so heavy on my mind. I need to get married. I want to get married. I need to get married. I want to get married. And people would say, just be content in the season that you're in. Can I just say this to all married people? Don't say that to single people. That doesn't make us feel better. It really makes us feel some type of way. We know that. And we understand that. But until you're going home by yourself every night and dealing with your kids by yourself every night, it's a whole nother ball game. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that road further, but anywho, just don't say that. And we do understand the be content in the season that you're in. We totally understand that. And we're not saying don't say that, but just don't be condescending about it. So I would love to have someone help me in this life. I would love to have a person to talk to sometimes at night, or just someone call me during the day and ask me about myself and to care for me, as well as help me care for my children. I do believe that God has a plan, that my husband, and I'll say that because it's what I believe, that my husband is currently working in his ministry as I'm currently working in my ministry. And I believe that when it's God's timing, we'll meet. I don't know who he is, and I don't think he even knows who I am at this moment. But I do believe at some point God will cause us to meet one another, and we'll be it will be for the edification of the kingdom, that God will come together, not for each other's sake, but for the kingdom's sake, is what I believe. So I do long for a spouse, but I am totally content and happy. I mean, sometimes I don't even think I have enough time for the things I'm doing now. And I would definitely want to have time for a person in my life, where the Lord to send me one. But as far as dating, I don't believe in dating just for the sake of doing it. I believe in dating with a purpose. I do believe in courtship for marriage. So at this point, at 43, I'm just not here for your Sunday girlfriend and your Tuesday side boo and all this other stuff. I just, if that is people's plan, then you can count me out, because I am not involved in any of that. I just don't have time for that type of situation. And that's just me. Let's see. There were quite a few assumptions about being a clean freak. Absolutely, I am not a clean freak. My sister's a germaphobe, but I am not a clean freak. I do appreciate a clean house. And then somebody else said that they assume that I use cleaning or busyness as a mental getaway. None of that. Actually, my grandparents, whom I grew up with, were always busy doing something. They were never idle. But my grandparents were older when I went to live with them as a young girl. And so just in that era of when they were born, you always worked. There wasn't TV, there wasn't entertainment. It was farm work or field work or work around the farm or around the house or whatever. And I grew up with my grandparents, and so I just took on those characteristics. And if there is a moment, there is something that can always be getting done. I mean, as much as I clean my house, I could run my finger along something and there's still dirt. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm, even as much as I'm doing, there's still always something to be done. I do like a clean and tidy space. I like spaces to smell good. I do have concerns with being idle and not getting anything done. Like, I am not the type of person to just look at a mess and say, oh, well, I'll get it in a minute. We always have tidy Tuesdays around here. And then my kids could be in the middle of a show watching something. And if something is out of place in this house, they will take a 5-minute time out. We will pause and do a quick pickup, because it doesn't leave so much on the back end. Like, I just think that we always need to be tidy. You never know when somebody's going to stop by. We always try to keep the bathroom cleaned, or at least smelling fresh. People might just stop by. You never know. So I always like to maintain that. But am I a clean freak? Probably to some people it seems that way. But to me, it just seems normal. Like it's just my norm. The next thing, let's see. They assume that I budget and I'm frugal because I grew up poor. Probably yes and probably no. We did grow up poor, but we didn't know we were poor, because everybody in our community or neighborhood was the same. We didn't grow up with brand new clothes and different things like that. We always had what we call hand-me-downs from other people. So it doesn't mean anything to me to go to Goodwill and shop for clothing, because I'm not a name brand label person. I never was that type of way. But honestly, I just much rather give my stuff away to other people that need it more than I do. I mean, I would prefer to be frugal, because in my frugality, it helps me to give to other people. There's more to work with if I get the deals and use the coupons, and I can budget, because I'm always able to get 1 or 2 extra things that I can give to other people. Honestly, I think my oldest son is like this. Money really doesn't mean anything to us. We use it as a means of living, and because we have bills and stuff, but it's not why I live. I don't live to make money. I am here for people, to help them as best as I can with what I have, even if it's a little bit. I remember my sister, one of my other sisters, telling somebody, I don't care what it is or how little we have, my sister Kima's always going to make a meal. I mean, I am going to use what I have to my benefit or others' benefit. We are never going to starve. We're never going to be without clothes. We're always going to have a roof over our head. But it's not for the sake of the things. It really isn't. In my frugality, I'm always thinking, who can I bless with the extra or the over and abundance? Like, what can I do with this? Who needs something? And I'm always trying to play it back in my mind. Who needs something? Who needs something? So if I'm saving anything, it's for that purpose. The next say, they assume that I handle stress better than they do. You know, I just don't find where stress is helpful. I don't find that there is a need to get all worked up about things. Now, that is so the hand of God on my life, because I used to be a worked up person. Like, I would just get worked up. And that goes into another question where somebody says they assume that I'm always calm with my children. My older children will tell you definitely that mom has never been calm in her life. But there's something about the loving hand of God when he comes in and he changes who you are as an individual. And I mean, with my older kids, I was a screamer, not just a talk loud person. I was a screamer. I suffered from rage because of a lot of things that had happened to me in my past. And if I said move, you better move 3 weeks ago, not in 3 minutes from now. That was just how it was. I wanted immediate obedience, and I wanted things done yesterday. When the Lord came in, and it wasn't like I wasn't saved. I was saved a long time, but I had to allow the Lord to do a working in my heart where he softened me. And because he softened me, it made my responses different. So I don't have a lot of stress. It's not necessary for my living. And I don't do a lot of that with my kids anymore. And I even catch myself sometimes thinking, man, you sure did handle that well. You know, something will happen and they'll ask me something and I'll say, oh, okay, lovely. Mom didn't realize. Or, you know, I'm just way more calm than I used to be. But I can't attribute that to anything other than God, who really just loves me, and he expects me to love my kids that way as well. Also, he expects my life to be a living testimony. And if I'm saying that Jesus is the peace that surpasses all understanding, and I'm walking around here stressed out, that is not a living testimony of who God is. So I have to make sure that what I'm saying is what I'm living. Okay, the next one says that having a large gap between children helps you to know what you change as a parent to the younger ones. No, I get that large gap question quite a lot. And the reason is that there is such a large gap between my children. I had my daughter very, very young. And because I had her very young, I'm 43, she's 28. She'll be 29 in 25 days. You do the math and figure it out. I didn't feel it was a good idea to have another child 2 years after, or 3 years after, even 5 or 6 years after, because I was so young. And then when I had my son, I just got married and we had my son. My ex-husband didn't want to have any children at all. So I actually had to beg him for 6 years to have Alana. I begged for 6 years. He did not want any more children. And so when we had Alana, he fell in love with her because she was just that lovey girl. We actually called her Lovey for a long time. And then she became Sister. When Jackson came along, she became Sister, but she was Lovey for a long time. And then Jackson was this is going to fix my marriage kid. You know, I'm going to have this baby and he's going to love us and he's going to want to be here. And that didn't happen either. And so we just have kids far apart because that's just when they came along. Although I have learned quite a lot from having older children and younger children. I have actually what I consider 2 sets of children. I have older kids and I have younger kids just because of the age difference. And I have done things a little different with the younger kids than I have with the older kids. With the older kids, we were in survival mode because of all the turmoil in the home. With the younger kids, we don't have any of that turmoil. It's just not allowed to be in this space. And so it is different. My older kids would agree and attest to the fact that it is a little bit different. Shamika probably remembers a lot of the bad things. Trandon doesn't have a lot of memories of those either. God has truly been gracious to us over the last 10 years, I would say, to just give us peace, which is what we all needed, which is what I prayed for in this space. I do tend, my younger kids, we spend a lot of time together because it's just us. It's just me and them. With my older kids, of course, I was married at the time, so it was 4 of us. So I had to spend individual time with my husband and then time with my kids, and then we spent time together as a family. Whereas here, it's just me and the little kids. And when I move, they move just like that. You know, that's just how it is, and we work it out. If I could do it over again, would I have them closer together? I don't know. Maybe. But I have 2 of them out of the house and 2 of them moving right along. And before long, they'll all be out of the house and they all taking the dogs with them. So it will just be mom. And prayerfully by then, someone will come into my life to love me and want to share this life with me for the right reasons. And that will be very good. And I'll be thankful for that. The next one says, they assume that I'm a confident woman. I haven't always been confident. And then somebody else said that I am they assume that I am quiet and a bit shy. So I do have confidence. But my personality, where it used to be very extroverted as a means of coping with my life and the stuff that happened, now I believe that my true personality is, I believe that I'm an extroverted introvert. Like in a situation where I am needed to be extroverted, I really can be. I can be animated. I can be the life of the party. As a general rule now, I don't necessarily have to be the life of the party. But know this, if I go into a situation where something has to be done, it's going to get done. It's going to get done in excellence. It's going to get done if I have to stay up all night to do it, because I believe in that. I believe in doing my best job at whatever I'm doing. And I do have to walk in a confidence and a boldness. I walk in confidence and boldness in the Lord, not in anything that Shakema can do, because I know me. Short of God, I am zero. I am nothing. I just cease to exist. But with the Lord and with his spirit that lives on the inside of me, he really just helps me to be so much better. And I'm just so appreciative of God for everything that he did for me. So when you see that confidence, it is not a confidence in myself, but it is a confidence in God and who he has made me to be and who he is forming me and shaping me to be right now. And so I'm thankful for that. I do believe that in the capacity that he has called me into the church, I must walk in a boldness that I may not possess. And so what I do is I pray to him and ask him to help me do that. I do believe that I'm a mother of the church, that other young women would come underneath me and that I would pull them in and help them, because there were mothers that helped me in the church. To help me grow as a woman and an individual. So I believe it is my responsibility to do that for somebody else. And being a mother of the church has zero to do with how old you are. I believe it talks about maturity. In James, the book of James, it talks a lot about being mature in the Lord. And so James is probably one of my favorite books of the Bible. You stay pretty calm when disciplining your children. Again, I touched on that a little bit. I do try to stay calm and remain calm. I believe that the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they get older, they won't depart from it. So I don't have to go around beating them for everything. I believe that we can talk things out. There are times when they don't get an opinion. There are times when I don't want to hear their part of the story. I just want what's done that needs to be done. But honestly, because God has done a work in me, it's changed my relationship with them. It's changed how I parent, because God gives me chance after chance. God gives me new mercies every morning. And so I just believe that I should do that with my kids. I can't stay mad at them all the time for something they did 3 weeks ago. God doesn't do that with me. So I have had to let some things go, whereas I might have been angry for a longer period of time. I believe that I don't do that anymore. You are genuine. I do try to be genuine. Like what you see on YouTube is really me. I still get a little nervous sometimes around the camera, although I have relative comfort in front of the camera. I have I yawn a lot, which is a nervous habit, so I have to edit that part out of the video quite often. But I try to be genuine. Like, this is who I am. I think even in situations where people have hurt me before, I will still help them. Like, I'm just going to help people. That's my personality. You can hurt me in one moment and then need something in the next minute, and I will temporarily forget that you hurt me or wounded me, and then I will help you. And the reason I do that is because I think about Jesus in the garden. When Jesus was in the garden, he said, Lord, take this bitter cup from me. And after he cried that thing out, he said, but nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. The very people he was sent to help hurt him, wounded him, turned him in, kissed him on the cheek, and gave him over. So if I think that I'm any better than Jesus and people aren't going to do the same thing to me, but I get to decide how I respond to those people and their dealings. Jesus took the high road and he forgave them all. He prayed for them when he was on the cross. He said, Lord, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And so all I can do is follow that example. Like, for real, y'all. So this is the thing. What I say has to line up with how I live. That is the epitome of a true Christian. I can talk all the Christianese. I can know 49,000 Bible verses and quote them all. But if I don't live any of them, I'm just, clinging cymbal, sounding brass. I have to live it. And I have been hurt by people. But we just get back up and we keep moving forward because God has a plan for our life. Okay, let's see. That you have a trust in the Lord and that he is your strength. And then somebody says that I let the Lord work his plan in my life no matter what I want at the time. So I'm going to put these two together. It's absolutely the entire truth that God's will be done, whatever that will is. It doesn't always line up with what I think it should be or what somebody might have spoken over my life, but it's God's will. And whatever he wants me to do, I'm going to do it. I had a friend tell me the other day, she said, you're the strongest Christian I know. Most wise or something. I can't remember the exact words. But it really was a esteem for me. And I was like, oh man, ooh, if I'm the strongest, wisest Christian, good girl, you need some more friends. But honestly, if that's what she believes, then it is up to me to keep growing so that when she does come back for counsel or whatever, or whatever she needs, that I am that individual. You always point people back to Jesus and the Bible. I mean, don't do anything because Shakema said it. Let's look in the Word and see what the Word says and live that. I hope and pray that I'm living the Word. And if I'm not, somebody tell me so that I can turn around and start living the Word again. But I'm always going to try my very best, as best of my ability, is to live the Bible. We were watching War Room the other day. The kids put it in. And at the end of the movie, of course, Miss Clara was doing the prayer scene. And she was praying, just like really praying. And my kid said, Mom, that's going to be you in a few years. And it wasn't that I was going to be praying like her in a few years. I was just going to be old like her in a few years. And that my kids know that about me, that means something to me. So all I can do is live my life according to the Word and how I believe it should be lived. And I believe that they're seeing what they need to see as their example so that they can live. My heart is that all of my children will work in ministry with me. I don't know that they will. It's still my heart for us and our family. But God will have the final say. I believe God's called me to ministry. But if at some point he says, no, this is not the call, do something else, then I've told God, wherever you send me, I'll go. And whatever you need me to do, I'll do. And so that's just how I live my entire life. The next thing says that I'm a good money manager. I wasn't always a good money manager. I was a spender. But when I was married, we were in a lot of financial debt. We were in a huge situation. Even though we both worked we both worked full-time jobs. And then when my ex left, I was left with the kids, the bills, and all of the things. And so I had to do a real quick shifting in my thought process because I needed to feed my children. And the Lord was gracious to me and gave me a mind to be able to coupon and save and pay off my bills. But it really just took me until this year to decide zeal intense with my debt. And so I am so close to being debt free. I'm right at about $2,100 from being debt free. My student loan will be paid with $2,100 more dollars. I will be done with my student loan and I won't owe any more debt. So I am prayerful that God, what I believe is God has asked me to be a good steward over the little bit that he's given me. And to some people, what I have is a lot. But to me, it is, I look at it as a little bit, not in amount, but it's just my piece, my portion. So God has asked me to be a good steward over that, and then he'll give me more, right? If I'm a steward over the little, he'll make me Lord and ruler over the much. And so with all that I have, if I execute and use it properly, and God knows he can trust me with it, I believe he will increase me. He will enlarge my territory, enlarge my borders. And so that's how I live. And so I do live by the budget. I do live by my spend choices. And some months I haven't had any thrift money, no blow money, nothing. It is no, we are not getting this. We don't have the money for it, period, the end. And you're like, oh, really? And yeah, really, that's just life. That's how it is. We don't have it. We're not buying it. And it, over the years, it has been okay. And not because I didn't want to spend, but because I saw the benefits of living out being a good money manager. We weren't in debt. The bills were paid. Nobody was calling. The debt collectors weren't calling. You're not answering your phone because you're scared it's somebody. You know, you can go to your mailbox and not feel no type of way because you know you paid all your bills online. It has just been freeing for me to manage my money and manage my money well. I want to help other people manage their money well. I honestly 100% want to see the body of Christ get out of debt. I want to see the body of Christ not have as high a divorce rate as the world. I want to see the body of Christ being the lenders, not the borrowers. I really do want to see that. And it starts with me. If I can say I'm a single mom, working one job, and this is how much I make, and this is what my kids and I were able to do, then I want to be able to share that with somebody that's like, you know what, if she can do it, I can do it too. So I do try to manage my money well for those reasons, so that it would be beneficial for my family as well as helping someone else. Oh, one says, I have the energy of a 3-year-old. You know, I'm just the Energizer Bunny. I keep going and going and going. But again, that's how my grandparents were. They never stopped. They were always moving. They were up early. They went to bed late. They were always tinkling here, tinkering there, finding something to do. We were in the yard. We were doing just anything they could do. And they lived for a very long, long time. So it's just in my nature, my personality to keep moving. Not anything specific. Another assumption says that I'm very intelligent because as I am a teacher, I've always been smart. I guess I have always had book sense. Common sense slips me sometimes because I don't think people mean me harm, and people really do sometimes. Don't always have your best interest at heart. But I've always been very academically inclined, and I've always wanted to teach. Teaching has been my plan A through Z. I never had a backup plan if teaching didn't work for me. So I do love it. I've been doing interest inventories and career cluster inventories with my students, and so my top 3 that come up almost every time are hospitality and tourism, education and training and human services. Those are the things I do by nature anyway. So it just goes along with who I am on the inside, and it works out for me. The thing, one says that you are strict and very protective of your children because I had it rough as a child. That's absolutely 100% golden and gospel. Because of the things I suffered at the hands of family members, I will not allow my children to go anywhere without their mom. And I have a lot of people who don't understand, but they may not know my full story either. I think Shamika was in 4th grade before she ever went to a sleepover. And she never went to a sleepover. I had to meet the mom and the dad. I knew these people. And she tells her friend's name is Mariah. And she tells Mariah quite often, girl, Holy Spirit had to talk to my mama because my mama didn't let me go nowhere. She said it was only Jesus that let me come and stay at your house. And Shamika was the only one that ever went on a sleepover. My little kids never go anywhere without their mom. Trandon never went on a sleepover. I didn't take Shamika to the mall and drop her off till she was 18 years old. Almost 18. She was 17. And I cried when I left her because I knew something would happen to my baby, and I couldn't do it then, and I can't do it now. And whether anybody understands it or not, I'm not that mom that's just going to let my kids do whatever, be wherever, with whomever. God called me to be good stewards over them until they're old enough to make choices and decisions for themselves. Even if that makes people not appreciate me or not understand my life, I'm willing to live with that and be okay with that. Because God didn't tell you to steward them. He told me to steward them. So I am a street. My children have never spent the night with my mom. With my own parent. No, I'm not. I have brothers and sisters. They've never spent the night with their aunts and uncles. Never. Never. No. It's just not how we roll. We roll together. We all sleep in the same space. So I know who moving and creeping and whatever else. Or we stay home, or we get a hotel room, or whatever we do. Now, they have gone to their dad's aunt's house, and their mom, his mom, and their relatives, because they have a really small family, and I know everybody in that family, and I know nothing is happening in that area. So they have stayed with their dad's family with no problem. But I've also went and been on family vacations with their dad's family without their dad, because I need to know what's happening with my children. And I will confront you if I feel like anything is wrong, off, something. If the Lord give me a feeling in my spirit, we're not coming. We'll come for the day, but we are not staying. Even when they go to Taekwondo events sometimes, it's like a sleepover thing. And I think for the first couple of years, we would pick them up. We would let them go, but we would pick them up. They could not spend the night for the sleepover night thing like the camp or whatever. I would send my son, or I would go at 11 o'clock at night and pick them up. Nope. So, that's just something bad happened to me, and I'm not willing to let that be my children's experience. One says that I started cooking at a pretty young age. That is true. My grandmother said to me when I was probably 10 years old, and I still remember this. She said, your husband is not going to want to eat bologna sandwiches. And I said, yes, ma'am, indeed. And so I just was in the kitchen whenever she was in the kitchen, and I love to cook. I love to cook. I love to cook for people. I don't necessarily like to eat I'm not a taster. You know how some people will cook something, they'll go, ooh, let me taste this. My kids are my taste testers because I don't believe in tasting my food, but I'll let them taste it. But I absolutely love to cook. It's one of my favorite activities to do, and I enjoy it now. Alana was telling me earlier, she's like, Mother Mom, because she calls me Mother Mom. She's like, Mother Mom, if you weren't a teacher, you could be a chef and open your own restaurant. I said, yes, indeed, I could be a chef. That would be lovely. Another assumption is that I am religious. I would love to say that I am not religious. I have a relationship with the Lord, but I do get what you're saying. I am saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized with the evidence of speaking in tongues, and I will go in anything, any moment, any moment. I love the Lord. I love going to church. I love being in the atmosphere. I love praise and worship. I will shout and dance and all the things, all of the things. We go to a visit. We go to a friend's church on Tuesday nights for our choir rehearsal, and they'll get to be in there talking about something, and I'll feel the spirit. I'm like, y'all, I just love Jesus. I don't know what else to tell anybody, or I don't know how to make you feel more comfortable about your level of Jesus versus my level of Jesus. I'm just here for Jesus. So it is what it is. This is how this it. And honestly, this is what you get. It is this way all the time. He is the crux of my conversation. He comes out of who I am, and I'm okay with that. Let's see. I don't have a whole lot more of these. Someone said they assumed that the singer Travis Green was a member of my church at one time. That is not true. I've never been to church with Travis Green, and I only know him because the kids used to sing some songs, and then of course they are on YouTube or the radio, and I know him through those things. But no, I don't really know him at all. Someone says they assume I'm going on a trip out of the country. I am going out of the country in just a little while. I am going on a trip, and I will be back. It's going to be a very lovely trip. I'm excited to go. And they says that once I'm debt free, I'll spend more money at Goodwill. I don't think so. I still have baby step number 3 to go. And then I do want to get to the point where I'm working myself through all the baby steps. So there's quite a few more things. I want to buy the van. I want to have the 3 to 6 month savings. I want to be able to, I invest now with my 401k, but maybe there's some more investment opportunities. I do want to be able to fund some things for my children and have just some things set aside for them in case there were something to happen to me. So there are some things. Just because you get out of debt doesn't mean you just spend all the money you have. I think those funds can be reallocated to other places. There's some things I want to buy for YouTube and filming and different things like that. So there's a couple things that I do want to do. Let's see. Let me make sure I got all of these because I don't want to leave anything out. That might have been all of the ones. I think on Instagram, somebody said they assumed that I was a good friend. I hope I'm a good friend. My kids tell me with all seriousness that I only have one friend, and that's my sister. They're like, well, she's your only friend, Mom. But I would hope that that is not true. I have built a loving relationship with the ladies in my ladies group. A lot of them started with me at the very beginning, and some of them have been with me for quite a long while. Some new ladies have been coming, and we're always blessed to have them with us. We are having our first retreat this year. I think September or October is going to be the time that we're planning for our ladies retreat, and I am not sure whether I will open that up or not. Right now it's just for the ladies in the ladies group, but the Lord may tell me to do something different. So I would hope and pray that I have more than just one friend, and that I am a good friend. I'm always here for anybody. I'll do whatever I need to do. I'm here to listen. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to talk to you. But I'm not going to, if you're looking for the friend who's going to let all of your, let me see, what is it? How do I want to say it? If you're looking for the friend to agree with all of the things you do that may not be right, then I'm the wrong friend for that. Because I don't want you to agree with all of my wrong things. And I don't get to determine your wrong things. You know, you and the Lord know. But I want to be the friend that says, you know what? Let's talk about this a little bit, because I don't know if this is quite what we want to be doing. Because I want the best for you. I want you to be well. I want you to experience God's best in your life. And so, you know, that's how I am with all of my friends. I enjoy a good cup of coffee, a nice baked good or baked treat or whatever. And I'm ride or die. I'm here for you. Me and my sister do a lot of things together. We have a best friend. Her name is Kelly. We all get together. My birthday was in February, and we have not been able to get together for our annual monthly get together. So they're going to do something in March, of course, because my birthday's already gone. But those are my girls. You know, it's nothing I wouldn't do for them. And I know there's nothing they wouldn't do for me. They have helped me raise my kids. They've helped me do a lot of tough spots in my life. Am I perfect? No. Do I want to do my best for the Lord? Yes. I have a spirit of perfection. That is something I struggle with. But as the days go on, it's not as much, because I'm finding my identity in who God is versus my identity in who other people say I should be. And so I'm good with that. But anywho, those were, and I lumped in some of those assumptions together. Let me make sure that I got them all. I think I got them all. I think I did. I'm hardworking. Absolutely. I've been working since I was 14 years old. It's nothing else that you can do but work when you need to. So I had to be the little mom when I was younger. I had to take care of my mom. She just couldn't do it. She couldn't take care of herself, and she couldn't take care of me. So somebody had to decide that we were going to take care of what needed to be taken care of, and that became me. I was paying the rent when I was 14. I was, buying the groceries when I was 14. I was doing a lot of things that maybe I shouldn't have done. I've been on my own since I was 17. And you just get out there, and you have to grow up pretty fast. And I'm thankful that the Lord gave me the wherewithal to do it. The last thing says that they assume that Shamika is my alter ego. That is pretty much not true. Shamika has a little bit of a rebellious streak in her, and I don't think I've ever had a rebellious bone in my body ever. I am a yes girl. I do what I'm told to do. I'm a good girl. I'm not a goody two-shoe, but I am a good girl. I don't buck the system. I go with what is the rule. I'm a rule follower, and I'm okay with that. But when Shamika has kids, she will be her mother. She will be mom, and she will raise them exactly. Alana's like, no, she won't, Mom. Yes, she will. Yes, she will. She will raise them exactly as I raised her, because she didn't turn out half bad. So I do believe that it's all good. Those were the questions that I got. Thank you so much for doing that. That was really fun for me. I hope it just gave you a little insight into who Shakema is. Be praying for me, that the Lord would increase me, that the Lord would allow me to wait patiently for my for the person I'm supposed to help, that the Lord would allow me to continue to raise my children in the fear and admonition of the Lord, that God would begin to move me ministerially, that he would open those doors that no man can shut for me to be able to go out and minister, as I believe that's what he's put in my heart and my spirit. So just pray for us, pray for our family, pray for us to find opportunities to serve others as we need to, and that we would be a blessing, and we'll do the same thing for you. So a couple of things. Ladies meeting is Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We would love to have you. We are growing every single week, and I'm thankful for that. Also, if you're looking for an excellent online Bible school, I have linked down CCRDU, Christ College, Raleigh-Durham, in the description box below. Please feel free to go to the website. Feel free to message the dean or contact any of us in the school. We'd be happy to walk you through, give you a virtual tour, show you what you're going to be studying if you want to. It's very affordable. I have not incurred any student loans since studying at the school. We would love to have you as a part of our cohort group. Any questions you have, leave me a comment down below. If you assume something else that I didn't answer, please feel free to just leave that. I'll get back with you in the comments, or I'll do another video. But anywho, I thought that was fun. I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that you sat through it. Thank you guys so much for stopping by our channel, and we'll see you next video. Bye now.